Hello, it is Midland Productions, and today I have Steamtronics Productions as well.
Hello, thank you for having me.
Again.
Yeah.
Anyway, so today we are looking at a familiar tiny little engine who works in a choir, has three lovely little tones of whistles by a old organ.
And has a pet dragon living inside a smoke box.
No, it lives inside of a volcano. It did live inside of the firebox at one point.
Yep.
But overall, he is Ivor the engine, who worked for
the Marionette and Lantertilly Rail Traction Company Limited.
But the locals couldn't call him that, so they called him Ivor.
They did.
So, Ivor the engine was made by the lovely Oliver Postgate, and he worked for him and a lovely other producer called this is Welsh, kind of Welsh.
Olwen Griffiths.
Yes, and also Anthony Jackson. So these three lovely people, but it was only Mr. Griffiths and Mr. Postgate doing Ivor the engine from all the way since 1959, so the 1960s, all the way up to the 1980s. So for background, Ivor the engine was a part of small films in the first production, and it was due inspiration for Oliver Postgate's imagination, really.
Yeah.
So after a World War II encounter with a Welshman called Dentley Ellis, a former railway locomotive fireman, who also, may I add, was the fireman of the Royal Scot Express.
Ooh.
He described how steam engines came to life when you spend time steaming them up in the mornings, putting them out in the afternoons, etc. Postgate decided to locate the story of North Wales from the flat terrain in the English Midlands. So the story, the story lines drew heavily on, and in just basically, drawn works by the South Wales poet Dylan Thomas. So, is there any? Do you have? So, Steamtronics Productions. Do you have any information about the production of Ivor the engine?
Yes. Well, a bit about what you were saying about how it was made. It was actually made by the use of stop motion animation, and it was basically the same style as the early South Park episodes with cardboard cutouts when they painted it. And the series was originally made for black and white television by Small Films. For Associated Rediffusion in 1958, but it was but 20 odd years later, in 1975, it was revived when a new episode in colour was produced for the BBC.
Yeah, can I just intervene here? It was originally released on the network of ITV in 1959, and
certainly was, yes.
And then it was then released again in 1975 up to 1977 for BBC One, and also I may add, I think it was somewhere in the 1980s or 1981, where they started where it was also used to promote the BBC, just BBC for Wales. And
That's correct.
may
Yeah.
I say that might have been a bit out of place, really, but still, it's an alright. It's
Yeah.
it's still alright. It's part of the Ivor the Engine myth and saga.
Yeah.
So
And
yeah,
yeah. Sorry.
no, carry on.
Right. And more about the production. Like as for mentioned, South Park, and Ivor the Engine also only had a handful of voice actors.
Mm.
The voices were performed by Oliver Postgate and Anthony Jackson and Olwen Griffith, who all performed their own voice lines. So the three of them were the only voice actors.
Oh, indeed.
So, as an example, Mr. Jackson was the voice for Dire Station, um, and um, and Mr. Dinwiddie as well.
May I just say, oh, those regulations, Jones. That isn't very good on the railway. You'll get rolled for that. Ivor, you gotta be careful on the line, you see. You gotta be careful on the line.
That's right.
Anyway, so I will say on this bit. So there are descriptions of the old TV production bits and series from ITV in 1959. So I'll read all of it out because it's basically each episode was about 4 to 5 minutes long, and you could basically just compile all of this into a complete episode if you ever actually wanted to do that.
That's right.
Episode 1. So Ivor the Engine, or Ivor basically hears the sound of the Welsh choir for the first time. He wants to join in, but he knows this is impossible. In number 2, Jones the Steam was concerned about Ivor because Ivor wasn't his usual jumpy self. Along with Dire Station, they visited Chief Engineer, and Ivor was in physically excellent condition, but they don't know what was bothering him. So, in episode 3, Dire Station has an idea about talking to Ivor back to why he became sad. So they were on the hill above the choir practice, and Jones the Steam discovers what Ivor's what is bothering Ivor really. So Evan the Song, which is Ivor's brother-in-law, if I remember correctly, listens to Ivor's whistle. It was too weak and rough for the choir. Jones of Esteem Jones was determined to get Ivor's whistle to replace Ivor's whistle with proper pipes, capable for more loud but also more quiet and pleasant sound. You've got the bum 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 bum, and then bum 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 bum, that lot. Episode 5, a bigger description. With the help of Ivor friends, Jones was able to replace Ivor's whistle with 3 organs or organ pipes donated by a local roundabout. Now he was able to join the choir, and Ivor is very happy for that because in episode 6, Evan was now concerned, but now is very convinced that the choir has now got a new employee called Ivor the Engine.
Yes.
Anyway, anything else you want to add on to that?
I would actually like to mention like some like real life things that like different railways have done.
For Ivor the engine.
Yes,
Yeah, go on then.
such as in 2007, the Battlefield line, the Battlefield Railway,
Hmm.
modified one of their what looks to be a saddle tank engine to look like Ivor.
Oh, you mean their packet?
Yeah,
All right.
and also um, this next photo that I found that I'm going to be talking about was found very kindly with the help of my friend Songs of History. Go and check his channel out if you want. Now, this photo is from the Snowdon Mountain Railway, where they basically put
Oh,
some like
I've seen that. Yeah,
yeah
yeah. So sorry to cut in, but what they did
yeah
is they basically coloured their engine into looking Ivor, and then put on the side just to cover a bit the valve gear. Is Ivor wheels. So then you're going to only see the sidewalls that are not connected to the back of the bit of the sidewalls. I'm talking complete waffle here, but I think you'll understand soon
yeah
enough.
yeah, and
Was there
they
any?
even had
Hmm.
someone. Oh, sorry.
So no, I was just gonna ask, what other railways were conflicted with this?
Um, these are all that I know of, but one other thing about the Snowdon one is they actually had someone dress up as Jones the Steam.
Okay, that is funny. Did they get them to do a Welsh accent
I mean,
if they weren't Welsh?
the railway is in Wales, so I'm assuming that
Oh,
they were already Welsh. So
that was a stupid question by me. Anyway, um,
anyway, yeah.
I will right. So onto the episodes actually now, because
Yes.
after the 1 to 6 pilot episodes, because I'm gonna call them a pilot. Hate me
Uh-huh.
or not, deal with it. So so it then followed up with uh, a season 2 with 13 episodes in this series, but they also came in black and white. So the first 10 episodes were 10. Well, the first episodes were 10 minutes each, all in black and white. So you had
That's right.
episode 1, the Choral Society, which would be the choir, and then you got number 2, the Festival. Episode 3, the Search. Episode 4, uh, I don't know, the outing really. The outing. It's basically about the quiet. It's basically a bank holiday where Ivor basically got to see everyone having fun in the sea, but he couldn't have fun. So what they did, they placed rails going into the sea, but by the time Ivor had fun, they had to push Ivor back so they can take him home.
So it's basically a bit like Percy Takes the Plunge, but a lot of a better ending.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, yeah. So you got a lot of other ones. You got my favourite one is episode 5, Idris, who
Yeah,
is the small Welsh. The description only says this: Idris is a small Welsh dragon and has made friends with Ivor and Jones. That's
yes,
that's a nice description. And then
it is.
a follow up episode to that is the fiery breath, and the
Ooh.
description says there have been reports of sudden burn marks around Laniog. Could Idris be responsible? And then Idris wasn't responsible. And then and then there's lots of follow up. There's 2 more follow up ones with this called Owen. So Idris has a friend called Owen, helps also who helps Mr. Thomas at the fish and chip shop. And then you also then at this one point is the retreat. The dragons have disappeared and is now at the whatever that says. I'm just going to call it the A Society because I don't know how to pronounce this word. The A Society have arrived. What will Ivor and Jones do? And then after all of that, in somewhere in about 2010, there were film copies of these discovered in a pig shed. And
Really?
yeah, and there's the original there are the original dates, so I'll read those out as well, along with some titles as well, and not the description, I promise this time. But these actually had coloured, so these were the coloured versions. So you would have episode 1, The Railway, originally launched in the January the 26th of January in 1976. And then a day after that, you got The Hat, episode 2, The Hat, by 19, basically a day after. Sorry, I'm getting myself confused. And then you got episode 3, Old Neil, and no, it's not Neil from whoever you think you Thomas fans. I don't like you, but I like Thomas myself, so that's hypocritical for me. Originally launched in 29th of January 1976, and then something about pigeons in episode 4 on the end of January. It's mainly, most of the episodes came out between January and February, and then there was a long pause in 1966 on the 27th of February, and then on the 22nd of November in 1977 launched the other fleet of films, and then it completely ended the retirement of episode 40, and this was in 1977 on the 23rd of December. And then all of these would be on VHS videotapes, but most of them would also be on Blu-ray as well, and Blu-ray is technically basically VHS. So that's all there is, except we're about to move on to the characters next. So, Steamtronics Productions have anything to say about this?
Nope, I don't have anything to say, so let's get on and talk about the characters.
Yeah. So the first one we have is Ivor. So Ivor is a little steam locomotive that worked for a company, and that company was called
the Marionette and Lanticilly Rail Traction Company Limited.
There you go. Or the M&LRTCL.
That's
but
right.
The locals didn't like it, so they just called him Ivor.
Yes.
So Ivor would go around the steam engine. Is a steam engine. He's a crazy little engine. Apparently his basis is bigger. He is smaller than a Peckett, and he is just about smaller. No, he's think of a Peckett, everyone. Put in mind a Peckett, and think of a smaller version. That's Ivor. Put him against a 9F. He's really small. Put him against a 9S tender. It still makes him small and insignificant. The next one is Jones the Steam.
Can I do this one? Can I?
Yeah. Go
if that's
on.
all right with you.
Yeah, no, do Jones the Steam. Go for it.
Right. Next up, we have Jones the Steam, the engine driver, or more specifically, Ivor the engine's driver.
Anyway,
Edwin Jones is Ivor's driver. He's a cheerful, kind-hearted man who perhaps sympathises more than most railway staff does with Ivor's idiosyncrasies. Postgate and Furman describe him as an ordinary engine driver who is there to cope with whatever needs to be coped with. People who are new to the area find him rather eccentric to talk to rather eccentric because he talks to his engine.
Indeed.
When he's not driving Ivor, he's helping the engine with his latest flight or fancy, and he really enjoys fitting and daydreaming. And it can be assumed that all the fish that he catches, he cooks on Ivor's shovel.
Fair enough. Next one is Die Station. So, Die is a station master in Lanyog. And he is a stickler for rules and regulations are underway. Okay. But he also bends the rules to also help his friends. That's rules and regulations, Die. So, but Ivor doesn't really care much for the rules and regulations, although he's also often depicted gloomy and also overly just strict in general. He's a good person and he has a heart inside. Everyone's got a heart inside. So
yes, they do.
The next one, which a lot of people, that not many people actually know he exists, is Owen the Signal. Now, Owen the Signal inhabits a signal box near Ivor's shed, and makes an occasional appearance in episodes. And then you have Evan the Song. Would you like to do Evan the Song?
Of course. Right. So Evans, the portly choirmaster of the Grumbly and District
Choral Society.
Choir Society.
Yeah.
He's also Jones the Steam's wife's uncle, so I guess that's uncle-in-law, I guess.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well done.
Thank you.
All right. I don't think we'll go through all of them that are here, but I think we'll go through possibly just two more.
Yep,
And
I think
those two more shall be Idris. You shall do Idris.
Sounds good. Right. So the next character that we will be talking about is Idris the Dragon. Now, Idris, she's a small red Welsh dragon who also sings in the choir from time to time. Having been hatched from an egg in Ivor's firebox, he lives with his wife, Olwen, and any of their twins, Diane and Blodwen.
You having trouble?
No. In the extinct volcano Smoke Hill, as well as singing, he proves useful by cooking fish and chips for the choir using his fiery breath.
May I just say, everyone, he's reading all of this off a wiki.
Yeah, and I'm having a bit of trouble with his Welsh names because
he's not very Welsh and he's not very British. So make sure he's on the ground. Make sure he's not up in the air trying to speak Welsh. We don't want him to be a local. We'll end it there, and possibly our longest one. So
yes. Well, thank you very much for having me on the podcast, Midlands. As always, I've had a very nice time.
Oh, no problem.
And thank you, viewers, for watching. I hope you enjoyed.
Technically listening, but
listening, yeah.